はい。はい。
お願いします。
お願いします。さあ。はい、サイドサイド。Hey, eat the shoulders. So, circles one way. Circles the other way. Hey, your arms. And back. This side. Cross. And side. Open and close. Hey, Kanisaki. Hand tight. Yoho. Tenchi. Yoko. So, Ibuki, breathing in, ki, ko, ki, ko, san, ki, ko,はい、体をそう Down. Hey, your knees. Circles. The other side. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Down. Bring your toes. Down. 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 Iki. Go. Ki. Go. Thank you. Go. Hey. Outside crescents. And inside crescents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, then open your legs. Jigoba. Elbows in, knees out. Slightly rocking side to side. And pivoting. Careful to one side. Down. Pivoting to the other side. Hey, on your toes, raising your head. And hips up. Spine up. And hips around. So, side to side. Lowering on one side. We're going to keep your heels down on both sides. Okay, if your heel is raising up, adjust the width of your leg, or the width of your legs. Maybe need a bit more width, or there's obviously some impediment. You don't have to go that low. Try to keep your both heels down. So don't sacrifice the movement for a poor execution of it. Okay, so heels down. If you can, hands in front. And the other side. Pivoting in one direction. Mountain climber. Pivoting in the other direction. Mountain climber. Again, one direction. Mountain climber. And in the other direction, mountain climber. And continue pivot on one side. You can put your knee down, hands down, and opening up. And elbow down. Open up. Elbow down. Open up. Elbow down. Raising up. Open. Pivot to the other side. And down. Knee down. Opening up. Opening up. Open up. Raising up. Pivoting. So open your legs. Okay, coming forward. So back stretch. Coming forward again. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. Hips back. Hey, forward again. Hips up. And sun salutations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And bring your legs together and knees to elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Jumping in. Deep squats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jumping back, knees and rest. Okay, resting on Seiza. And let's do it again. Back stretch. Going forward. Hips up. And salutations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And put together, knees to elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Can begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jumping back, Knees down, back stretch. And rest. And last one, third set. Back stretch. Going forward. Hips up. And salutations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put together. Knees to elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your palms down. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hands down, back, knees, and relax. Hey, side, the other side. One side, the other side. One side, the other side. Side to side. Hey, okay, so standing up please. So, I will work this morning on an exercise that it's typical or traditional in Aikido warm-ups. It has warming up value. It has, I guess, a spiritual and energetical value if you want to do the research around it. But then obviously Morono Sensei puts a lot of functional value to the movement, and that is Funakogi. Okay, so Funakogi, our rowing exercise, Funakogi. So again, it's quite common in warming up warming up your body and focusing your mind, which is really good. A really good thing to set you up in the correct mindset, as in the idea that you're in an Aikido training session, and that makes it concrete. It is good because it is familiar, in many settings. You go to many Aikido dojos around the world, and people will practice Funakogi. So that gives you a sense of familiarity in a setting, even if you are far away from home for whatever reason. So that's a really positive experience as well. As I say, it has, because of the Shintoist tradition of Japan and the beliefs of the founder, is an exercise that has remained in our Aikido, portfolio, and it has, I'm sure, spiritual value as well. But I invite you to do your own research on that category. So while all of those things, warm up, sense of belonging and community and spiritual value are very important, again, Morono Sensei puts special functional value in the correct execution of Funakogi. So first of all, so we always stand, your Funakogi, when it's going to be done dynamically, it requires a stronger base than the typical base that sometimes is a bit more narrow, that is used for in some exercises or by some groups. So in this case, when the Funakogi is going to be more dynamic, it requires you to adopt a much wider base in order to kind of sustain the effort that is about to come, where your weight is put to the front and then the weight is going to be put on the back. going to put on the front, and he's going to put it back. The very position of the very beginning of Funakogi will be basically the lower body position and the body position of pretty much all our techniques when we practice the way Sensei teaches us to practice, which is, with your weight forward, not leaning into it, but with your weight forward, present, and ready for motion, as opposed to a much more narrow, equally distributed weight. Once again, remember, if you have your weight forward, you have the capacity to move, as Funakogi teaches, all the way this back, like, I don't know, how much is that? Like from here to here, whatever that is, 30 centimeters, without really moving your feet, because you can displace your weight forward with your weight backwards. If your weight is already in the middle, then obviously you can only move half of that direction backwards. You don't have the entirety. If your weight is distributed at the front, you have the entire 30 centimeters. If your weight is distributed in the middle and you want to move back, you only have maybe half of that, 15 centimeters, something like that. So weight forward, okay, strong base, strong leg, weight forward, weight forward. Number 2, your hips, are square into this motion. Funakogi, even pretty much everybody who does it, their hands are equally placed. Remember, if your hip is open, you just practice that. If your hip is closed and you put your hands out, your hands should be equally placed. If your hip opens, okay, obviously one hand is going to pull back slightly. So if your hip's closed, your hands are equally placed. You open your hip, one hand, the hand of the hip that is being open, is going to go backwards slightly, and now they are not equally placed. So close your hips so your hands are equally placed. So that's why in Funakogi, your hips are closed. Once again, another distinction with Sensei's way of practicing. Some people practice Aikido, their handmi is much more narrow, is equally distributed, and the hip is slightly open, right? So that would be the position of certain Aikido groups. The hip is slightly open, narrow width, equally distributed. When Sensei's position is wider stance, weight forward, and hip engage forward. Okay, so those little details are what eventually give sense to what Sensei tries to teach us or not. So, okay, weight forward, good base, hips forward. Okay, hands equal length. Okay, so now number 3, engage your core muscles. Really important, engage your core muscles. Because of the action of Funakogi, because we breathe out and we breathe in so quickly, this is where core muscle engagement and breathing kind of overlap, but they don't. So you have to study that on your own body. Right? I cannot give you exactly the recipe of what to do that. What I'm saying is, when you are about to perform Funakogi, engage your core muscles to minimize the fact that if they are loose and floppy, you end up pulling, especially on the way back with your lower back, or you end up curving too much on the way forward. Engage your core muscles, make sure that you remember that you have them, okay, and then find your rhythm in the way you move. So let's just start with this basic set of ideas. Weight forward, good base, hips straight, engage core muscles. Okay, so just forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, back, 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 forward, back. All right, and relax. Now, the other side. Okay, once again, right foot forward. It's starting to be kind of pedantic on this sometimes, but your toe, make sure that it is not pointing inwards. Okay, so if your toe pointing inwards, hopefully your knee is going inwards like the toe. If the toe is pointing inward and the knee is pointing outwards, then that's where you can have a problem with your toe, with your knee alignment. So make sure your toe points forward, okay, not inwards. Sensei may even point it a little bit out. If I'm looking to the front here, Sensei may open it even a little bit out, sometimes a lot, but make sure at least it's forward, if not a little bit out. So your knee follows the direction of your toe, your knee follows the direction of your toe, your knee follows the direction of your toe, okay? Forward, okay? A little bit out, okay? Not in, okay? So toes, making so toe position, good base, lower your hips square, so your arms are square, engage your core muscles, weight forward, weight back, forward, 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 forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. Okay, so that's a little bit what's going on the lower body. Okay, two most common mistakes when performing. By the time we're doing the exercises like these, we are quite removed from a more traditional way of performing Funakogi, which is vertical and narrow. So in this kind of more dynamic way of Funakogi, there are two things that we need to watch out. Number one, that we don't tilt the heel down and then kind of turtle our body too much on the way in. Okay, so sometimes due to the energy of it may happen, up, but it's important to remember to not remain turtle, So if for whatever reason I push everything in, and I turtle myself, and my everything curve and my heel went down, just remember to recover your shisei, okay? And then just try to see if you can move more from your hips rather than from your shoulders, okay? I'm not sure how important that is. I think that when you are giving everything you can in the motion, like Sensei invites us to do, it's unavoidable that everything will go, head, shoulders, everything goes. But anyway, remember to come back into Shisei. So that's number one, hyper turtling, if there is such a thing. And then the other one is on your way back, careful with not over pulling again. If the shoulders overshoot back, your lower back may not like that. So, so on the way forward, careful with this position. On the way back, careful with this position. Okay, so it's the bending of the spine, the excessive bending of the spine in any direction needs to be taken carefully, because the idea is to keep your natural lumbar position. But any excess of bending needs to be taken very carefully, because you are bending the spine naturally. So careful with your turtling, careful with your overpulling. So now your hands forward, okay? Not fingers not fully open, okay? Fingers not fully open, but partially, and then grabbing, pulling back to your hips. Forward, and then pulling strongly back to your hip. Forward, and then pulling back to your hips. So forward, pulling back. Your hands, again, I think Sensei keeps them partially open, not necessarily fully open. And his elbow, he's quite element of this, how the elbow remains semi-curved. The elbow never goes completely straight. So it's not, the elbow doesn't shoot completely straight for risk of hyperextension. The elbow remains partially curved, in the motion of the hands, okay? So hands and elbows, please. And again, careful with the overshooting of the shoulders in any of the two directions. Try to focus more on your spine, okay? So that's what's happening with the arms. So lower body, core engaged. Careful with your shoulders, not overshooting excessively. That has to do with your head. Careful with your elbows, not hyperextending. And try to keep your hands opening and closing them back forward, okay? Forward, back, 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 forward, back. So now the other side. the moment is going gently because we're just paying attention to physically what we're doing, okay? So good base, good alignment, hips down, hips square, okay? Shoulders align, elbows curve, hands semi-open and closed, okay? So forward, 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 forward. All right, so that's kind of structurally more or less what's going on. The most important thing is always to move is our spine, okay? Our spine, making your spine participate in the motion. Okay, so now the famous shouting or sound, okay, which again, like with every other ki exercise or effort, is the expression of your energy coming out into the world in the form of sound. In this case, married to the motion that we are performing, okay? So just bring your intention in. Doesn't have to be loud. In a sense, if you cannot, because of the environment that you're working on at the moment, you may not even have to make it audible in that sense, but it's just that it's easier, you know, when our intention takes form, either in the same of physical form or in the same of, you know, sound form, you know. So, but physical form and sound form are the physical manifestation of our intention, you know, which is what is represented. So either, you know, strong physical form, if you can, pair with a strong sound form, which are hopefully an honest expression of your intention and presence in the moment, okay? So left foot forward and hands in front. Ish. Yee, ho, 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 yee. Oh, yeah! Oh! Ready for the timer. The other side. I think that the main characteristic of the intense sound and motion that Sensei does in Funakogi is just a continuation of one theme that he invites us to consider all the time, which is the idea of practice as if it was your last time to practice Aikido. You know, he says, you know, when we practice Aikido, sometimes we go, I won't practice as much as I can today, I'll do it next week. Or even within our practice, I will do this technique now, you know, and then I have another 3, and then we'll have 3, 4, and then I'll have 4, she has 4. At some point, we'll get there. As opposed to saying, no, practice every technique with all your heart as if it was the last time you practice Aikido. It's a very difficult thing to do in everything in life that we do, but it's an invitation to say, you know, if it was the last time that you were going to do something, how would you do it? You know, how would you behave? How would you do it? What would you want out of that encounter? You know, what would like to be the last thing? So his Funakogi in this case is just an extension of that. So when we practice other types of Funakogi, which are less intense, you know, the motion is great, the connection with other people is great, but maybe we're not considering that element of saying, this is my last motion, you know, how would I, this is the only motion that I would ever do, how would I do it? You know, because there is so many options, in, you know, in another way. So anyways, as with many things with Sensei, can be a bit extreme in an idea, but it's
it's an important idea to bring to practice and to do our best to embody as much as we can embody it. So when you do your motions here, give everything you have in each action. That's going to make it intense. That's going to make it strong. That's the invitation Sensei wants us to experience in doing Aikido in general, and in this case, Funakogi. Okay, so foot in front, hands. Hey. Yeah, yeah, sa, 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 yeah, sa. Hey, so okay. So as I mentioned in the beginning, the hope or the teaching of Sensei is to bring functional ideas into the motion of Funakogi, and you could say that he invites us or summarizes it in three: bring forward some functional elements of posture, how to encounter, your techniques, your hips down with good base, square hip, etc. Bringing forward ideas of your intention, how clear do you make your intention with the movement, how clear do you bring your intention into the shape of the techniques of Aikido, and finally bring forward a particular attitude, the attitude of saying, I'm going to perform my techniques with the best capacity that I have, like if it was the last time that I could do it. And then we have to be kind to ourselves that does not mean perfection. That doesn't mean that, I have to make a perfect technique. It just means I'm going to give everything that I can in this technique, in this session, as if it was the last session that I would ever be able to walk into. So I think that the functionality of Sensei's invitations, which summarize quite well in Funakogi, is an invitation of, physical structure of a particular type, intentional elements of a particular kind of time, and attitude elements to training of a particular kind. And all of that summarizes in Funakogi, and from then expands into the rest of the things that we try to do in Aikido. Okay, so your body, your intention, your attitude, consolidated in Funakogi, and you will be practicing what he wants us to practice of Aikido in one exercise, in a sense. Anyway, so when we were in the pandemic, because we were doing a lot of solo, like now, we practice many different types of Funakogi. We normally practice the most standard one, which is this one, but then we practice quite a few other ones. Let's try practice a couple of them, okay? So this time, Funakogi, but with a Yumiashi. Each, knee, each, knee. So now careful with your hips, okay? Because if you do not maintain your hips square, what's going to happen? What did we say happens when you don't maintain your hips square? Your hands open up, isn't it? So if you enter forward here, each, and then, and you open up, you're going to end up with your hands, not square. So try to keep your hips forward, with your hips square, each, knee, each, knee. Okay, so just try to see if we can keep those squareness of the hips. Okay, Funakogi Ayumiashi. Okay, each, knee, 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 stand, she. Hey, kantai. Ish. Ish. Ni. 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 Ish. San, shi. So, go. Hey, and now let's do. Oh, it's going to finish now. Anyway, I can keep this as an introduction to Funakogi, and then we can continue next week because time passes really quickly. Maybe because I talk too much. But anyway, so we start with a couple of Funakogis, and we're going to do stepping forward, pivoting Funakogi, okay, which is another form of the rowing exercise that Sensei gave us during the pandemic. And then next week, also we will continue with applications of Funakogi, especially on our Ikyogogi, which most people are familiar with, but even more important on our Nikyogogi, which is what fails many times for us to connect with Nikyo, and in our Sankyogogi, which is again what translates, into Sankyo. And then they're all based on similar set of ideas. But we'll have to do this in 2 parts. Okay, so let's do this for the next one. Take it down. Ki. Ko. Ki. Ko. San. Ki. Ko. Hey, Funakogi. Hey. Hey.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much.
Thank you.